Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Obi Ajilu Olabisi Ugu, and with me are the ladies. Excellent morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Nima?
Fine. In sober reflections.
Yeah. Are you fasting?
No. When I'm sober like that, just reflecting on things to be grateful for, so many things. Instead of focusing on some things that are not working, focus on the things that are working and be grateful for them. So I'm very grateful, and my heart is with the family over the news that I just heard this morning. Happened last 2 weeks in my neighborhood as well. Someone lost a 4-year-old, and I know what it is to lose a child. So I'm just grateful. Anything to be thankful for.
Well, how are you doing, Miriam?
I'm doing fine.
Today is Tuesday.
Yes.
Let's not be so dull.
I'm good. Just, excited for the week. The week is going well. My house over the half term, I had a few family come over and stay, and everyone is leaving, so the house is going to be empty again. I love people, I love family, but I really prefer it when when there are less people in my house than more. It's nothing personal to the people. It's just that's how I am. The other day when I went for the Academic Festival on Saturday, on Sunday I wanted to be myself. When I spend time with people, I like to take time and just recoup and just rejuvenate. Too much energy like this, different people's energies just affects me. I guess it's just an introverted thing. Yeah, I love being by myself most of the time.
But do you know that I love being by myself and I'm not an introvert? There's something they call people like me. I can switch. Ambivert, yes. I can be an introvert and be an extrovert at the same time.
Setting, what Miriam just said, there's somebody who crucify her.
Yes, they'll call you a witch straight.
She's dead, gone, and buried.
I'm telling you.
I remember when I got married, I grew up in a full house. Father's cousins, distant cousins. I still don't like receiving visitors. I still don't want a full house. Please don't come unannounced, unprepared. Don't do it. I say it. And when you say it like that, it seems like she doesn't love you.
And that's not it.
If you like it, if you put it like that, that's your business, really. But I don't take it back anytime. I don't want.
I like to have people in my house at the same time have my privacy. So I can, as long as you're not in my face.
One person
every
can
2
crowd
minutes.
my house. One person.
Are you serious?
If I didn't plan for your coming and you're in my house and you plan to stay, like maybe your short visit, but it's okay. But your plan to stay, you just come unannounced.
No.
Crowding me, you just won't know it. I'm not.
That one is not even acceptable. You tell me that you're coming, I'll plan for you. I'm ready to receive you.
But then there are some people that
don't be in my face.
There's some people that have this really huge personality. When they enter a place, they dominate it. Yeah. You feel them everywhere.
Yeah, your face. Yeah. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we'll be taking the newspaper reviews and I'll be reading from here. We do not have physical papers today, so bear with me. Let's start with The Nation. Ensure credible polls, Buhari tells police. Reps panel accuse oil firms of tax evasion. Committee gives deadline. Abiodun to FRSC. Trace end gridlock on Long Bridge. INEC, 22,538 new PVCs yet to be collected in Lagos. No decision yet on who to vote president, says Wiki. Tinubu, Adebanjo under fire over Southwest stand. How Lekki Port will boost economy by Sanwo-Olu. Federal government dismisses US-UK terror alert on Abuja. Okay, what stories do we have here?
Okay, so I have the federal government dismisses the US-UK terror alert. So yesterday after the Security Council meeting, the NSA, the National Security Advisor, Abagada Monguno, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Irabo, both addressed press after the Security Council meeting, and they said that, the US alert, in fact, the NSA said the US alert is false, and that the citizens of Nigeria are not at any danger, they are not in any peril, and that the US, even though they had gone on to issue and, try to evacuate their citizens, they gave an order that non-embassy staff citizens of theirs should quickly leave the country, that there's no reason for alarm. Other countries, European countries, also followed the US advisory and evacuated some of their citizens. But they are insisting that it is wrong of any country to put us in such a panic mode.
Yeah.
But as it is now, as Nigerians now, whether or not you want to trust your country or not, the people who are in charge of your security architecture are the ones saying this. I think we should just calm down. Whatever is coming, we meet all of us here. If anything is coming, that's it. Honestly, if at all anything is coming, there's really no need to shake and panic. Some people have cited the Kuje prisons attack, and they gave instances of how many that they have averted. There was an attack at an army barracks in Niger State that was averted, and several other attempted attacks like that across the country that have been averted. And they said these are things that they are on top of. They are doing their best, and Nigeria is not in any danger that should make all of us be jumping up and down. But the United States are free to do what they did, but we should calm down. And now the person where it's like the person that will bathe the dead body. That's the situation on ground now. They are the ones.
So we should just trust them
that
they are doing something.
So everything
about
will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So our president is talking to the police and saying that as regards the upcoming elections, that the police needs to be neutral, and that this is because he's very committed to. He says one of the legacies he would like to leave is a free and fair elections and free and fair power that's been given from one administration to the next. And he said that in furtherance to making sure that the police does its job well, he has assented to the Nigerian Police Trust Fund bill, and he also approved a new salary and welfare regime that is commensurate to the dictates of critical policing. He also noted that the release of funds for annual recruitments of 10,000 police constables in order to address the wide manpower in that particular sector. So he's saying that because he believes solely that democracy, if it's not done in a free and fair way, it would affect all the positive policies and development that will happen in the country. And that's why it's important that the police is on it. He also referred to his speech at the just concluded UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, and what he said about democracy. And so he's charging the police to be neutral and make sure and enforce and ensure that there's free and fair elections coming up.
We hope for free and fair elections. Let's move on quickly now to the Punch. Federal government exceeds loan target by 1.12 trillion, borrows 5.3 trillion. Naira devaluation it will worsen Nigeria's food energy crisis, according to the World Bank. IOCs polluting Nigeria must face sanctions, federal government. Sanwo-Olu, Lagos, Kan, Anglican Diocese mourn Bishop Olumakaye. Terror alert. Federal government reassures Nigerians, pushes back against US and UK. Foreign minister to warn ambassadors against alarming advisories. Terror alert irresponsible, go about normal business, security chiefs. Transcorp Hotel sets new security protocol. Federal Capital Territory Police meet hotel operators. Commuters stranded as Lagos commercial drivers protest extortion. Marketers protest 1.85 litre fuel and threaten strike. Lagos-Ibadan highway kidnappers killed captives over ransom, collected 3.2 million from my father, lady. 2023 elections, don't be partisan, Buhari counsels police. What stories do we have in the Punch? Let me quickly.
Okay, so as we're aware, commercial drivers went on a one-week strike. And these commercial drivers operate under the aegis of Joint Drivers Welfare Association in Lagos. And the reason they went on the strike was because they were protesting the numerous fees that's been imposed on them and their members by the Lagos State Parks and Garages Committee. And so the effect of the strike so far, a lot of people say that commuters were seen walking, trekking, because there were no buses that they could board, and the few that were available took advantage of the fact that the other bosses were on strike, hiked up the fares, and people who were desperate to, get to their appointments, get to work, were paid those amount. There's some that could not pay the amount, decided to work. Others had to reschedule maybe appointments that they had. People, the report says that they talk to various people. A lot of people say that they understand that it's their right to demand for, that even they understand how unfair it is, this constant taxing of these bus drivers. And it's important for them to stand for their right, but also that they should be put into consideration because they cannot get anywhere because of the strike. I think Nima took the story yesterday and says that we hope that the state government will sort of look into this before it becomes
We're going to be discussing that
issue
later on. Yes, so one of the released victims of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway abduction, Aminat Taiwo, narrated how her father paid 3.2 million to her kidnappers before she was released alongside her friend, Toby Orikoya. So I think they were headed for a wedding when this kidnap happened. It happened last Friday near the Sadhguru Maharaji Garden at the Ibadan end of the expressway. And they were kidnapped. They said they went through, I think they were there for just about 2 days because the parents had to keep asking people to contribute money. So everybody was contributing 100 naira, 200 naira, 1,000 naira till they were able to gather about 800,000 because the kidnappers reached out to the parents and were demanding from 10 to 50 million. So they collected the money. They were asked not to come in, report to the police or come in the crowd. So it was just the father who took the money for a young girl and her friend that were kidnapped to a place just before the toll gate, and then they collected the money. They said they were not allowed to stay in one point for a long time. They kept moving them. They didn't give them food. There was no water. They were getting water off the leaves of the trees, and just narrated how that experience was painful.
So,
go ahead.
Experts are warning the federal government on their borrowing. So according to this Punch report, there was a budget to borrow about 4.7 trillion naira to take care of the deficit in the budget in the 2022 budget, but the federal government exceeded that by 1.15 trillion, and they ended up borrowing about 5.1 trillion at the end of between January and August 2022, and this, of course, is making people around worry, that our debt profile continue to rise, we continue to exceed. There must be plans to generate the revenue one way or the other. My suggestion is that we've been unable to earn dollars because the crude is being exchanged for, for products, and we're still paying subsidy. We're even borrowing to pay the subsidy. We don't have any foreign exchange that we're earning to, to be able to deal with cost of foreign consumptions like the air flight and all of that here. Whatever we need to do, that's that area that, they should have a think tank on top immediately to see how they can motivate small businesses to start to export finished products, maybe complex products. So instead of exporting just raw materials that we usually would do, which will give us
manufacture here.
Yes, we should hold on to our cocoa and refine and sell out Nigerian chocolate. Let it be known. And
that we have Nigerian chocolate. They have Ghana chocolate.
And our palm oil that we were known for, if we can revive that, they can be deliberate about it. Give that. And, small like that. Do all of those things and see how foreign exchange will come in. We need that desperately right now.
All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Still on the newspaper review, we are reviewing the Daily Sun. Stay of execution. Nnamdi Kanu heads to Supreme Court. Abuja terrorism alert. Federal government confirms suspects arrested. Says security concerns raised by the US and UK being addressed. Urges Nigerians to go about businesses without fear. Herdsmen list conditions for peace in communities. Demand gazetting of 415 grazing reserves. Obidison's manifesto in circulation says is not approved. Buhari jets out for 2-week medical check in London. My salary stopped for exposing corruption at Finance Ministry, claims female staff. Letter of credit saga. Yerima seeks federal government support for air peace. Ex-UI DVC recounts close shave with death in kidnapper's den. Buhari warns police against unprofessional conduct during elections. What stories do we have here?
The major headline, the federal government has confirmed that suspects have been arrested. So the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, he spoke to journalists after they had had a meeting with the president, an emergency security meeting. And what he says that the travel advisory by the US and the UK and other governments, he said he described these warnings which heightened a sense of insecurity in the nation's capital as false and unnecessary, and also said that they're irresponsible and that the Nigerian citizens and the residents are not in any danger. They said first and foremost, they also gather intelligence and they've been working not just with the US, but they also have other partners. So this is something that, that they do quite often, where they share intelligence, amongst all parties involved in a responsible way, and they'll kind of continue to do that. That yes, some arrests have been made, there's some suspects that have been arrested, and that going forward, Nigeria should just go ahead to, just have nothing to fear. And the country.
Okay, I'm sorry, we have to go on another break. Your mic is not working. We'll be back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So Miriam was establishing a story.
Yes, so I was saying that the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, retired, who spoke with journalists after an emergency security meeting that they had with the president, and basically he said what they discussed was about some of the alerts and the heightened sense of insecurity since those travel advisory were reported, and he said that those travel advisory given by these countries, the US and the UK, it's false and was unnecessary, and also said that in the way it was done was irresponsible. He said that the country does a good job of also gathering intelligence, and they have partners, domestic as well as international, not just with the US, but other partners, and they share intelligence, like that. But the way and manner in which the US and UK had gone about it is irresponsible and has caused panic amongst Nigerians, but they are assuring Nigerians that they're on top of it, and we have no reason to fear. All Nigerian citizens and residents should go about their business without fear.
Okay. So the National Industrial Court has been told how the Budget Office, a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, has unlawfully withheld the salaries and entitlements of their staff, Mrs. Bilkisu Okene Sanusi, for daring to expose corrupt practices in the establishment. So she alleged that in the course of her service in the organization, she noticed there was monumental corrupt practices perpetrated by some staff of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning in the office of the Budget Office. And then she said, she claimed that she reported the matter to one of her superiors, and all of a sudden that one started treating her badly. And then along the line, she found out that that one was also complicit in what she was talking about. And so she moved to another department and reported the same matter. They now connived with each other and took her out of her salary. So her name was omitted from the salary. She wasn't paid for a while. And so she's demanding 50 million as damages for what had happened to her. The matter has been in court. They are hearing more evidence of the case so far, and it's been adjourned to a later date.
Okay, so the Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers have gotten his go-ahead to appeal the stay of execution order that the federal government got on the appeal court judgment that, that of course freed him. They had gone to court to say that the court should stay that execution because they think that deciding his acquittal based on just the technicalities of how he was repatriated into the country is wrong. And then, you know, his lawyers have then decided to go on to the Supreme Court on this issue to settle that matter once and for all. I like that a lot of the war is fought legally, and that, you know, his people are being patient. I hope that by the time the Supreme Court finally gives an acquittal on his behalf, if they do, nobody should delay the execution further. This is just unnecessary.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with you. So let's move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Construction of 1.5 billion Lekki Port completed. Lekki Freeport Terminal takes over. Gunmen abduct 4 Ibadan-bound travelers in Ekiti. 2 killed in fresh attack in Plateau. Kidnappers' bullets left skin-deep wound on my head, says Agbaje, ex-UI DVC. U.S. security alert needless, no cause for alarm, NSA. Buhari leaves for medical checkup in UK. 1 year after Ikoyi building collapse, government yet to demolish 2 other towers. Miyetti Allah lists conditions for peace in troubled communities, demands gazetting of 415 grazing reserves. Passengers stranded, pay more as bus drivers begin 7-day protest over alleged extortion in Lagos. Atiku Group faults endorsement of Tinubu in Akure. Ebola, NCDC warns Nigerians against non-critical travel to Uganda. What stories do you have in the Tribune?
NCDC is asking Nigerians to avoid Uganda for now, and if they have to, except they have to travel to Uganda, they need to, you know, be careful and make sure not to mingle with people who are sick. And then for those who have just recently traveled, who have just recently come into Nigeria from Uganda, especially within 21 days, should also pay attention if they have any symptoms of headache, muscle pain, or any other pains, and that if you experience any of these symptoms, do not just drive yourself to the hospital, so that you are not spreading through the transportation, spreading whatever, if you have the virus, spreading the virus. Instead, stay at home and then reach the line, which is 62. There's a health, 6232. You should call that line or try and access any of the other Ministry of Health hotlines for assessment and testing. So it was gathered that the outbreak of the Ebola virus is called the Sudan strain and was declared in Uganda on September 20, 2022. And as of 29th of October, 128 cases have been confirmed and there have been 34 deaths.
Wow. You have a story in the Tribune?
So the president again has left the country, according to his spokesperson, Chief Femi Adesina. The president had just presided over the National Security Council meeting, and he traveled to Owerri to flag off the conference retreat for senior police officers, and then from there, to Europe. He will be back. It says second week of November. Today is the 1st of November, so we know that we do not have our president in the country
again
in 2 weeks. It's just sad that, you know, despite all our talk around, putting together and beefing up and improving on our health sector here, our president did not send anybody for his 8 years, and again, he has gone to see his doctors.
He has an option. All right, that's all we can take on the newspaper reviews. When we come back, we move on to our hot topics. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So the Joint Drivers Welfare Association of Nigeria has commenced a 7-day strike in Lagos State as it was unable to reach an agreement with the state government. The group, in a statement by its lawyer, Ayo Ademiluyi, said it had been subjected to indiscriminate extortion and violent harassment by the management of parks and garages in the state. Joining us on the show is a special advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on Transportation, Honorable Shola Giwa. And you can join the conversation on 27053-687. Or you can tweet to us at TVC Connect using your hashtag YourViewTVC. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, you are aware of the strike that's ongoing. And I want to start by asking you, what are your views on this? And do you think these drivers are justified?
I guess we should put things in perspective first. Section 40 of the Constitution gives every Nigerian the right of association. However, for you to be able to operate within a state, you have to follow the rules. So, Lagos State there's this law in Lagos State that makes us to recognize unions for the purpose of regulating and organizing them, for security and building up for the future purpose. So to that effect, Lagos State recognized the defunct NULT and the defunct Harutian as the unions that manages commuter transport in Lagos State. However, you know that has metamorphosed into what is called Lagos State Park and Garage Ad hoc Committee and then Lagos State Park Administrator Ad hoc Committee because of the issues they are having. However, just like you two, we saw this advertorial going around on social media, and we started looking, who are these people? Do we know them? Are they known to government? We realized that we don't even know them. Wow. However, as a responsible government, we approached them and then we called them for a meeting. That's it. We want to hear what the issues are. It took us 5 days before we were able to convince them to come and have a meeting with us. And then we did on Friday. In fact, we called them on Thursday, said they were not going to come. On Friday morning, they switched off all their phones. However, we were still able to get them around the afternoon. So in the evening on Friday, we were able to convince them to come to our office, and they came. And then we had this meeting for about 2 hours, very fruitful one. They laid all their complaints. We made them understood that, see, we know the fact that you can come as individuals, as group, to press for your people, to agitate for your people's need. And then as a government, we must listen to you. And that's why we're having this discussion. And then after they laid out all the issues of harassment, extortion, so many checkpoints and all that, yeah, of course, government is not unaware of some of these things. Okay. And then the best way to go about it is to sit down on a round table. The people you are accusing of this, let's invite them. Let me tell you, they also named military officials and police officials.
Okay. Amongst the people that are
extorting them. And they say, fine, we'll reach out to all this group. We'll sit down with you and them to iron this out. And then we agreed as gentlemen that we'll meet tomorrow to discuss further. And they agreed that they will suspend their planned strike. However, they did a volte-face. And on Monday, we now called them and said, come, we realize that some of your drivers are not out. And I must say this for clarity. Most of this group are actually operators around Badagry Express Road. And I'll still come to that later on. So, on Monday, we realized that some of them are not working. And they are mostly owners of these coaster buses. Okay. Yes, these old coaster buses. We've been able to identify them. And then we called them. We had an agreement on Friday that you suspended this planned strike. How come you're going on strike? I said, no. Their lawyer advised them that they must go on with the strike.
They have a lawyer.
They have a lawyer. And they said that, in fact, they've even taken us to court. So the way we are saying it from here is that if you really want justice, if you really are fighting for something, if it is not political, why not just wait 2 extra days for us to sit down? So we are seeing a political angle to this, that this is electioneering period, and a lot of people will do a lot of things. In fact, I don't want to mention, we've seen a gubernatorial candidate making a statement from this. So for us, we work for Lagos. We work for the people of Lagos. We are committed to them. We do not want the people of Lagos to suffer. We'll do whatever it is as a government.
You mentioned the gubernatorial candidate now.
I don't want to go into that. That's just a side job. That's
alleged.
Just a side job. Okay. Yeah, that's just a side job. It's there in social media. Oh. It's there in social media. Okay. So what I'm saying is that it's the responsibility of government to give enabling environment to business owners for their business to be able to thrive, so that the state will get the tax to be able to fulfill all the dividends of democracy, promise of democracy to you.
Okay, so at this point where it just seems that one of the parties is not interested in having a conversation, but you also said that you're aware of some of the grievances that they have, that they exist. So what can you do now going forward?
Oh, we are going ahead with the meeting stated for tomorrow.
Okay, beyond the
With who?
meetings.
So we're speaking with we've spoken to the head of the military cantonment in Ojo. We have also spoken to the area commander in that axis too. Okay. So let me explain to you what is happening. You know, there's a major construction that is going on from mile 2 down. So there are so many diversion points. In fact, we are already speaking with the contractor there to open up some places. So because of the diversion, there's this so many checkpoints that used to be for trucks. Okay. We have seen people actually extorting trucks. We realize that between Agbara and Tinkan Island, there are about 172 illegal checkpoints.
Wow.
So we have deployed police, we have deployed all security agencies to that place, and they are flushing them. I can tell you it has reduced drastically, and in fact, we'll have to reduce it more. However, at those places along that Badagry Express Road where it is difficult for them to make U-turns like that, so there's so many traffic, these boys still come outside and then try to extort people. We are on it. We are arresting them. We are prosecuting them. We will not stop doing that. The AIG Zone 2 has given us a lot of backing. I must commend him, and even the CP on this. So now, what we have now seen is, because of the fact that we are attacking them on trucks, now they have now shifted to buses. And then the same thing, we will give them the same treatment. So we are appealing to Lagosians. We are appealing to drivers. Please come out. Government is on your side. We'll make sure that you are not extorted. The unions, if they want to collect their union due that they normally do, yes, go ahead. However, they have to do it within the ambit of the law. Thank you.
Okay, so I live on that axis, and I smiled when you talked about it, because I've seen and experienced this. I have to drive, because now there's serious traffic every day at the trade fair turning over the bridge. So sometimes I have to drive all the way to Yanoba, to Ojo, to get back home, because it's shorter to be off traffic. But sometimes you turn, and from Agric all the way to Satellite Town, there's mad traffic. You have to sit in that traffic. So I see the boys. I see what they do.
I can speak to that.
Just a moment. I would like you to speak to everything. So how would you do, what can you do with the unions to ascertain the legitimate collectors of dues on that axis? Everybody is bringing out pole, hitting on buses. Sometimes we are scared in our cars. And then the buses also have to divert through Onirike into the estates on that side of town to find their way out up ahead at Abule Oshun, or sometimes at Ileku. Between that axis, there are boys. Who is the legitimate collector of union dues on that axis?
Let me pause you, Honorable. Let's take this call from Yakub from Dokbemo. Good morning, Yakub.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning, Sister Nima. Good morning. Good morning,
sir.
to our guest. As I continue, let me begin by saying this. I stand to be corrected, and then without fear of anything before, I'm a giant fan of APC. I support them wholeheartedly, and then I'm unrepentant one. And then I don't think I can even leave that party, because personally I have my own reason for doing that. Without saying that, I don't want us to take this thing as a politics. You see, the test in the studio, you made mention that it is a politics and all that. You see, there's some certain process that someone needs to carry out so that the government will listen to them. Let me give you a typical example here. If you go to Yanofaja, under that bridge in Yanofaja, there is no garage there. The NURSW people, they will begin to collect money in the middle of the road. And then I want you to answer these questions with due respect. This money that these people were collected, are they remitted this money to the government? Because I found out that they were collected this money, and then the same thing, the road is worse, the road is bad. And then they were even collected this money by force. So who are they paying this money to? Are they accountable to the government? So that the people of Lagos will know truly that this money NURTW guys are collecting by force. I use that word, by force, not in fact, the Yanopaja under bridge, it is not a garage. They will make sure that all dump is there, and then when you get there, you find out it's because they want to collect money. Please, listen to these people, listen to them. It's not a policy. I'm a support of APC, and then I would like you to address this issue.
Thank you. So kindly address his first, then you come to Nima's question.
Well, thank you, Yakub. Very wonderful question, and I really appreciate your perception. So basically what is happening is this: Lagos State Master Plan is for mass movement, mass transit. That's where we're going. And then if you see that Yanopaja area that he's talking about, you can see that the BRT is already taken up there. So what you will see is that very soon, just like we saw the extinct of the Molues, the same thing will still happen to these buses. As more investors are coming in, bringing in large capacity buses, you will see that people will go for this safe and effective mode of transportation. So we are trying to provide alternatives. We cannot just say all these downfall leave the road. And if you notice, they don't collect union dues from this. So what I'm saying is, Lagos, we are coming. We hear your cry, we are coming. Like, for example, I tell someone, who will now take a bus by the time the red line comes on the axis? Don't forget this same axis, the blue line is also coming there. So you are going to get up on a train from CMS that will take you to Agbado, pass through all these people. So what is happening is that if they don't evolve, the owners of those buses don't evolve. And I must tell you, the unions too, they have now started moving on to high-capacity buses. They've bought some high-capacity buses. So I'm telling this to business owners that in the transport sector, that it's high time they come together as a group and invest in high-capacity buses. Anybody that is going to Mile 2 very soon from CMS, you will realize that very soon by the time the train comes up, what will happen? And then the BRT is also coming up on Lagos-Badagry Express Road. So we are coming. We promise the people of Lagos that we will give them effective transportation. In fact, not just effective, safe and fast transportation.
Okay, so I got a message now that any moment from now, TVC News will be going live to air African Tax Administration Forum, General Assembly Opening Ceremony, Lagos. We'll continue with this conversation when we come back after the break, and then we'll take your question. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have Honorable Sholagiwa and Nima.
Okay, so I asked the question that, I'm aware of how that place is, and I see too many people collecting. Now, when you get to the Masu and you know the uniform, so you think you've seen legitimacy on their unions, because I'm not trying to tell them whether they should collect or not collect. They committed to a union, they know what their dues are. But who are the legitimate collectors? Because when they have to now be in that traffic, I have sat with them, behind them. They've even helped me jumpstart my car when my battery died in traffic. So thanks to them, I've mixed with them enough. Who are the there's too much collectors out there. And how in your meetings with them, interference with them, can you ascertain who should be collecting? Because these are strong and legitimate concerns.
So the way you're phrasing it, who is the legitimate collector? There's no legitimate collector.
Of union dues.
So the way it ought to be is that you are a member of a union, and then because you subscribe to that union, you pay your dues.
That's the way it's
and how you manage that should actually be in the confines of your union and your members. See, if you notice, we stopped local government from collecting any dues again.
Taxes.
We stopped even emission. We stopped Lomas. These are all the people that used to collect. Lagos State now had the consolidated ticket. All the dues that you pay from one local government to the other, we consolidated it to 800. And then because we know the unions are out there, so we give them this ticket to sell on behalf of Lagos State. And one is just 800 for all. Loma, LRS, so even for their taxes,
So how-
it's inclusive in it. And that's what they sell, just in a day. And that goes round daily.
Okay.
However, for their unions, as a member of the union,
They have
that you
dues?
subscribe, they have dues. We don't know how much these dues are because it's a union matter. However, as far as Lagos State is concerned, we only recognize 2 commuter unions in Lagos State, and that is the NULT, the defunct NULT, and then the defunct RTN that are probably having issues right now. And we have taken over the parks. It's Lagos State that is now in charge of the parks. We have ad hoc committees handling these parks. However, for tankers and then for trailers, that's another potpourri of issues. I can tell you that. We have well over 12 to 15 different unions and associations collecting dues from trailers and tankers. In the last 1 year, since we started the e-call-up and management of our Papa traffic, the cost of freight has been very stable. It went from about 1.2 million to 140,000.
Wow.
Yes, in the last 1 year. Wow. It has been stable. But what is affecting is this collection. So whatever we've done in Apapa, these illegal tolls is causing a lot of issues.
Okay, let me take
Yes,
this
that's
call
what we're trying to do.
from God's Power, from Iyanokbaja. Good morning, God's Power.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Doing amazing. And you?
Yeah, fine. This Agbero thing, I remember vividly before Personal left office, there was a law in signed that they should leave the road and go to the park. That law, why is it not working in Lagos? Because the activities of this town is becoming worrisome in Lagos. Any bus stop you stop, whether you carry passenger or not, you will see at least 5 of them coming to surround the motor asking Owoda as if they give money to the driver and the conductor. And it can be so mean, they can destroy your vehicle, nothing will happen to them. I was at the Ikeja bus stop once, they beat up a driver and a conductor. At that Ikeja bus stop, some years back, last night we were there, snapping pictures and laughing. It was a passenger that separated a fight. Immediately after separating the fight, the conductor and the driver entered the vehicle to go. Last night, entered the vehicle and arrested that man for causing obstruction.
Wow.
So government should do something about the activity of these people because it's becoming something else in Lagos State. They are the ones that will fix prices for drivers. A bus can come to bus stop now. When they see many people there, the Agbero will tell them 300, 400. That's what they will carry. Even when the driver said, they say, no, it's 200, it's 100, they will tell the driver, if you don't collect 300 or 400 from them, that is what I will collect from you. So if you like to collect 200 from them. Their own government is much. That is number one. Then secondly, Mr. Yakub asked the question, are they remitting this money to government or it is for their own personal use? Because look at our roads, so bad. So
Thank
please,
you,
government should
God's Power. Thank you so much. Do you have a response for
Oh, yes. So like I said, their union dues is for their runnings of the unions. And they don't remit their union dues to us.
the government?
Of course, they are a member of TLC, TUC, and the NLC. The road transport is a member of TUC, while NULT is a member of NLC. So they do their payments to those bodies. However, like I said, the payment that they ought to have been making to local government. So what happened is, let's say, for example, you are coming from Badagry to Mile 2. You are run through at least like 6 local governments. And at each local government, you're supposed to be paying local government levies and all that. So we harmonize all this. And we also know that capturing them for their revenue, as in their income tax for LRS, is tough. And then also the Loma levy that they ought to pay. So we fused all these things together and say, even if you travel from Badagry to Ekpe, you pay only 1 toll. However, like I also said, for these unions, we have told them you collect your dues from your garages. However, if you have noticed, we have less garages now. We are telling them they've turned bus stops to garages. There's a difference between a garage or a park and a bus stop.
That's the good thing about the strike.
That's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the
That's
matter.
the good thing about the strike. They're off the road and traffic is light.
You know, and I must say, they've also given us an eye opener now. Yes. We know these are issues, and we will not hesitate as a government to clamp down on anyone that is causing havoc or causing problems for the people of the state.
Okay, Miriam.
So this also now brings me to the question, because when we started this, you said you were never aware what particular union this was. You had to sort of seek them out. And I wonder what is the protocol for running a transportation business in Lagos State and the forming of unions? Can anyone just indiscriminately just come, put bus drivers together, buy buses and say we have formed a union and then we run our business, and thereby union people can collect fines and levies without the knowledge of the state government? How does that work?
So like I said, in 2004, there's this white paper that Lagos State came out with that for the purpose of organization, you understand, and proper planning, we ought to know, and we recognize only 2. There were several unions. At that time, there were a proliferation of unions and associations. We had to tell of the Anakowa, Amakoran, all these people, please, either you stay with RTN or you stay with NURT. So all of them fuse into this because it makes it easy for us to be able to plan. Within the union, there are still unions, though. There are still the heads of the Okadas, the heads of the Marwa. However, they have their own organization. But for us to be able to deal with them as a state and have easy access, we deal with only 2 of them. So, for example, now, if you have transportation business, you buy your buses, of course, you'll have to put them on the roads. So you come to the ministry, or you go to Lamata, for example, we are inviting people to invest in high-capacity buses, or our first mile and last mile buses. We have operators that are buying these buses. And then they are working with us. They register with Lamata and the Lagos State bus, LBLS. Then that is the agency that actually regulate bus services in Lagos State. So you go there and you register. However, if you are running our BLT or our first mile, last mile, or the medium buses, you do not get to pay those unions. That is the truth. If you notice, they don't collect union dues from all those buses, just like you will not see. Say the taxis, for example. The taxis collect union dues from each other. You see those babas sometimes, they go and mount and start stopping for those that refuse to pay. You understand? So we are taking them to that level where there will be a model of how you pay. And then they're actually coming up with another thing. That is this barcode that they're doing. That is how they intend now to be collecting their union dues. That will take all these people off the road because we are telling them you need to remove this from the road. And we will not at any point allow anybody, whatever union you are, to disrupt the movement of Lagosians.
Yeah, okay, let's quickly take this call from Hassan. We have a caller. Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
This transportation issue in Lagos State is a very, very serious problem. And it's crucial for the movement of goods and people. But one thing is very clear, sir. Look, the crux of all this matter is corruption. The admirals are backed by police. Even your agencies that were supposed to maintain law and order on the road, people find a way within the system to form their own illegal enforcement forces to take money from the motorists and the passengers. All this amount you see people paying, passengers are the one paying this money. And we are not helping matters. Even in Ababa, this issue you came out with, instead of Lagos State government last month to enforce the law, to make sure there is a smooth movement of trucks up to the wall, the whole thing is marred by corruption now. And that corruption is a monster that is eating deep into our economy. Because we, the consumers, we, the commuters, are the ones paying that money. If you go to the bus stops, you will hear them saying, "Oh, Alejo chairman. Oh, yeah, chairman." A lot of things are going on, and the last month are not even helping matters. instead of LASMA to help to the smooth movement of traffic, they are much more concerned about what they will get. Any road turned out by the state government is giving an opportunity for the police.
Thank you, Hassan. I think we've lost him. So you wanted to
Based
answer?
on what Hassan just said now, how much of enforcement of the laws that are existing that you have talked about is happening?
Okay, thank you very much. So basically, we must get something clear. One is the fact that the police is under the federal government.
Okay.
And then even the traffic management LASMA that was created in Lagos State was as a result of that gap that was seen by government of that day. That, don't forget that it was police that used to do traffic management.
Yes.
But because of the peculiarity of Lagos and the ingenuity of the people in government then, that LASMA was formed to be able to manage the traffic and the law. So that is that. But most of these laws would have to be executed by the police. And that's why I say I give kudos to the CP. Yeah, the CP Lagos have been doing wonderfully well for us, and even the AIG Zone 2. They've done so well for us, but there's still more that needs to be done. Yeah. And on the issue of e-column, I can tell you for a fact, you can attest to it that we've achieved remarkable results in Apapa. However, it is not yet Uhuru, at least along that mile 2 axis, because of the road construction. If the road had been fully constructed, we would even be able to stop in front of a moving truck or a moving trailer. It's because the road is under construction. And by the grace of God, this government will deliver on that project.
Okay, that brings me to a question I always have for issues like this. Do we always have to wait for people to start showing some form of agitation before government moves? I don't know how Lagos State has heard so far of what has been happening, the extortion. Have they not heard anything? Have they not tried to mediate in any way? Do we have to wait till the strike before we now start making moves to sort them out?
Let me quickly explain to you. I've told you before. How did I know that there were 172 points from Agbara to Tinkan Island? It was because we actually investigated. We know, and I told you it has reduced, and we still need to reduce it very well. You understand? I told you the reason why they move these people, these negative elements in the society, moves to buses instead of trucks. So we have been concentrating on the trucks. Now we didn't see this like they were now moving to the buses. You understand now? And then like they brought it to our notice. The immediate thing we did was to start engaging those people. Call on the police, have meeting with the police to stop this. And I must say, even before now, as I was saying about Apapa, there are about 12 to 15 different unions and associations dealing with trucks. And what have we done? We have met with them, and I can tell you in the next 1 week, they are coming up with one body. They were still in my office. We still had a meeting twice last week. All the truck unions, say Maun, NATO, Amato, Comtois, and we are trying to bring them so that we can manage them. And what are they saying? They say they want to stop extortion. They are the ones that are saying we want to stop. Okay, let's come out. So you will see a group going out and say, we are stopping extortion, but they are collecting money. This one say we are stopping extortion, they are collecting money. So we are saying, all of you come, so that we can know that we are dealing with one union along that axis.
Okay, let's take this call. Mr. Richard. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, ladies, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
So I have a question, right? So do you have to belong to a union for you to operate as a transport operator? Or is there a law that says you must belong to a union for you to operate? Doesn't the Lagos State have a mechanism for managing collection of, apart from using the NERTW? Because by what you have said, your guest, it means you have empowered the NERTW to be collecting these taxes and levies on your behalf. So they will always be there. But outside these unions, based on the freedom of association law, must you subject yourself to that union? And the issue of this agbero, your guest is saying it as if it's something that started 2-3 years ago. This is as old as over 30, 40, I don't know, as long as I can remember years. So this is not a new thing. And you're saying it as if it's something new that you're now trying to provide for business.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
I must quickly answer that. It's just like asking the same question, that if you're a lawyer, is it compulsory you join MBA? Madam?
Very compulsory.
Okay.
Until recently, we just saw the Law Society come up.
So what we are saying in essence is this: you can do your business. So if you want to do a transportation business in Lagos State, there are laws, there are rules, there are guidelines, and some of the guidelines is that. So because we don't want proliferation of association, we have seen this thing happen before.
It's even encouraging corruption. So,
Exactly. So everybody just come up and say, okay, we have our own association, we have our own association. How many people do you want to deal with? We should be able to organize that. That's why there's a white paper. And don't forget, NURT was not started by Lagos State. It is recognized under the Constitution because they're a member of NLC. So we cannot say you cannot unionize. And how that is managed is within their own organization. If you want to run transportation business in Lagos State, you have to belong to either of these unions. That is as simple as that.
Honorable.
Yes, so, you know, you explained how you have like one daily ticket now where you receive all the dues for Loma and everything, so the 800 naira.
Yes.
And I was wondering for all the other unions that, you know, unions, local government, whatever, those agberos on the road, is there a way to also have a ticket for them where payment is made daily and then whatever has to do with collection, distributions, you know,
Covers everything.
is done in an office off the roads?
Now, let me explain that to you. You're still asking me to meddle in the affairs of a union. Just like me telling MB, and I'm using this or the Nigerian Medical Association, this is how you should collect your dues. However, what we can say is that we do not want you causing traffic on the road with your collection.
So?
It's as simple as that.
So how would you ensure?
And that is exactly what we are doing. And let me give you an instance. Some few weeks ago, because of this collection, the Road Transport Employers Association people, they were fighting and we had to suspend them and remove their leadership. So Lagos State will not shy away with dealing with anyone where we do not care whose ox is dead. You understand? Who's
But her
ox
question
is,
is, are you helping them
that's exactly what I'm
move
saying.
away
So,
from the roads to maybe an office?
I spoke to you about the barcode that he was trying, that
Yes, for the taxis.
that they're trying to do. And that's what they're trying to do. However, there's a minimum that we can do as government. Or now, all we can do is advise them that this is a good one for you guys to do. And that's it. For example, now we are also putting driver badges in the vehicle. You understand it now? To be able to say this is the route you're supposed to go to. This is the route you're not supposed to go to. You understand? That is the way we monitor their activities. And we'll be going out right now to enforce that. They must have their badges in the vehicle so you can identify those. And those badges come with some codes. So what they're trying to do is actually to key into our IT so that they can get it off. However, we've not been able to sit on the table for that.
Okay, final question.
So I wanted to know what's the outcome for the September face-off that happened between the transport unions at Yanoba exactly that happened. And what exactly do you do when you, since they are a union and so uncontrollable, what exactly do you do when you interfere in their face-offs?
Okay, so this is basically what happened. We know that their lifeline is actually the parks and the garages where they do their collection of their unions. So what we do is that because the state is the owner of the parks and the garages. So what we do is that because we cannot prescribe them, we tell them not to enter our parks for their activities. Do you understand it now? Because the parks belong to me, the management of the park. So we only give them, these unions, temporary authority to use the parks. So immediately we see them having issues,
You suspend them.
we suspend their activities in our park, not suspend them, because we don't have that power.
Okay.
So we just suspend their activity in our own park. So that's
They
how
take
we
it
handle
to-
that.
They'll take you to the road and causing what happened.
Oh, of course, we chase them off the road.
Wow. Thank you so much, Honorable Shalagiwa. I hope that you will continue the conversations with these unions so that they can resolve the issues and businesses will.
Oh, definitely, we are continuing with the discussion, and I want to use this opportunity to tell Lagosians and people doing their business, please go about your business. You will not be molested by anyone. We'll do all we can to make sure that we reduce the issues of harassment and extortion. Please go out because you need the money that to earn and then to earn a living. And also people need to move on. And don't forget, if you are not using your boss, your sister, your cousin, my cousin will not be able to move to where they want to end.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we'll move on to another topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. This is actually a very sad story that broke very recently, I think from yesterday to this morning, about Davido's son that sort of died. But the Lagos State Police Command confirmed the death of the young boy, Ifeanyi, son of the Afro-pop star David Adeleke, known as Davido. And the police spokesman, Benjamin Hundeyin, said that the 3-year-old son is late. Went ahead to say that about 8 people were brought in for questioning and investigation is currently ongoing on the matter. I woke up to this story this morning and it was painful. Everybody has been talking about it, feeling bad about it, you know, trying to understand what happened, why it happened. A lot of questions were being asked. And it's actually a very disheartening story to hear that a young boy just dies like that, and we commiserate with Davido for his loss. We pray that God gives him the fortitude to bear this loss. But when you heard the story at the early hours of, some people heard it last night, others heard it this morning. What were your thoughts on it?
Okay. So I heard it this morning as I got into the office. And what hits me was, you know, how Chioma, because, you know, there's always, I'm not saying it's men don't parent kids, but it hits different for mothers because to birth a child, you lose a part of yourself. You know, so you give so much of yourself, even during childbirth. It's a different loss for the mother, especially when it's your first. And this child is the first that Chioma has. She's a young mother. I think she'll just become an adult overnight. You know, sometimes when we're starting life, we're still taking it, hanging in between, but death is something that makes you mature overnight. I know grief has made me a totally different person. And now, if it is the death of a parent, that's the natural order. What is the death of a child? It's something else. I can only just, you know, pray for them at this time that they get the support
God
and the
gives them
fortitude
strength
to go through this. And I pray for Chioma today that if this relationship solidifies into marriage, that children come immediately, because I know if another child follows, it helps the healing faster. I pray that, you know, she's blessed
What were
quickly.
your thoughts, Miriam?
For me, it was this morning. You know how you wake up and once you turn your phone on, you just get feeds, and it was really sad because for me, at the time I got it, there were like 2 sides of the story. There's some people saying that, oh no, it did not happen. The child is still in coma and it's going to come out. And so I just held on to that particular side of the story, like, you
God
know,
save
hopefully.
him.
But unfortunately, it's been confirmed by the police that David and Chioma have lost their son. I mean, I cannot imagine the heartbreak. I just cannot imagine the state of mind for them and their family members right now. And I just pray, you know, that over time and with God's love and, you know, strength, that they'll be able to
Overcome,
yes,
get through this.
Heal from this, you know, one way or the other. And I mean, it's really too early to also talk about the circumstances of the passing and everything. And so for me right now is that I'm praying for them. My heart is with them, and I hope that somehow, you know, they go through this together and with love. I hope that even in this trying time, that the love is strong between them.
Amen. Yeah, that's all we can take on this particular story. We pray that God gives them the strength to bear this loss. And right now, all they need is family members, support, all the love that they can get. Nigerians are really praying for them. I saw very positive tweets and messages this morning. Everybody was wishing them well. And we hope that everything will be settled at the end of the day. But let's move on now to another topic that caught our attention on social media. So we got this message, and it says this man was sick and rushed to the hospital by 11 p.m. After stabilizing him, the man's brother asked his wife to return home to be with the children for the night. By 2 a.m., the man died, and his brothers drove his corpse to the village in Abia without informing the wife. The wife just learned this morning that her husband died and his corpse is somewhere in his village in Abia State. She's been screaming her lungs out and crying her eyes out. And I think apparently the man has been buried without any information to the wife. So initially when I saw Abia, I was thinking, okay, does this just happen in Igbo land? But somebody else replied and said, I'm not Igbo. I did marry an Igbo man as well. My own husband, died 15 years ago until today. My daughter and I don't know where he was buried. He was buried without us. We are both Yoruba. So this sort of treatment that is meted out to wives, after the passing of their husband is not peculiar to a particular tribe, but it happens. And that opens up the sort of conversation as how do we begin to protect ourselves as wives, as women, if after marriage, so when you are dating, they will say you don't have any, there's no link, you are just dating, you are not married, there's no covenant covering you. And so you can be treated anyhow. If anything happens, they say, okay, auntie, carry your bag and go to your father's house or just leave. But now that you're married, you're supposed to be protected under the covenant of marriage. And something like this happened, and family members also deem it fit to treat you in such a manner. How do we begin to even change the mindset of some of these family members, in-laws, men, women, everywhere? Please help me. How do we do this?
Well, the truth is, sometimes it's not even about like a culture that determines that that's how a woman should be treated. God just help you that you don't get married into a family of just wicked people. Because sometimes, I've heard stories of a person that passes and this happens, and they'll be like, if it had happened the other way around, it would not have happened. That this is happening because a particular person is that way inclined, or just has a sort of negative feeling towards, the spouse that has been left behind. We can only talk, and we just keep talking to people to always remember to be kind, to always remember to be respectful, of all the people involved. And then the fact that as a country, we have a constitution, we have bodies that sort of give support to, we should have strengthened institutions that give support to families that go through this at such a time. The sad things that may have happened, but they need to be able to find a place that they can go and get redress, and on time. A redress that does not cost them so much. Because sometimes when we deal with these family issues, it will be in court for so many years. People have even moved on, and the impact is just so far-reaching, and sometimes people don't even want to go through that process. But if we can have our institutions that make it easy, to solve issues like that. But the truth is, it only comes from a place of unkindness. It comes from a place of just lack of empathy for what someone else is going through.
That's painful.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be seen from a place of lack of empathy. Sometimes when you are discerning, you understand people's ways of doing things. When my father died, my mom never saw him. The last she saw him was when he walked out of the house and said, I want to see my doctors, I'll be back.
Okay.
When he died, some people advised that, we take him back home because he was a scholar, his students should do the janaza. And I kept saying, if he dies here and is shot out to the cemetery where he should be buried, why do I have to go back home and then back? So my siblings agreed with me. I insisted we all sat together. Just 5 of us, no extended family member with us. We agreed. We informed our uncles, and we took our dad to the grave. So my mom till tomorrow keeps wondering, where did you bury my husband? But that was her father. And I thought it was better for her to not see him because they were a monogamous relationship for over 40 years.
But did you have a conversation with her? Did she know the day of the burial?
He was buried immediately, he died. We informed family members to be with her before it was announced. Okay. And by the time we got home, they had announced to her. We don't want her.
It's a
But that's
different
it's a different
No, I'm
situation.
just
trying to-
explaining. I'm using that as an example. I'm coming somewhere. You know, sometimes when I was dating, there was a person I was dating, and this mom was just gisting with me and said, you know, in our own family compound, was from the same village as well, said, when you are married to us, you stop eating bushmeat. And it didn't make sense, you know. But when you learn to respect the way, because those kind of people cannot come and do something to you tomorrow, you will surprise you will call they catch you, because people have their ways, and they whatever they do, they have their rationale for doing it. You know, so but people don't learn anymore. You meet one person, you fall in love with that person. You say, okay, no, we're now in a modern world. I'm only in love with you. You don't know where he's from, his background, his ways. You don't know. I'm presently married to somebody from Ogbe family in Benin. Their family migrated from that place. That's where Zibiri's family is from. As a first son, I cannot claim tomorrow and say, how do you... I didn't bury my father and do the traditional rites, but I did for my father-in-law. In support of my husband, I stood by his side as first son. I cannot come and say, no, this is what we do here. When it comes to me, respect my Islamic rules. When it comes to my husband, he has some rights to perform on his father's side. I stood by his side. So I'm just trying to explain that sometimes when you marry in isolation, shocks will be coming. Because I love that somebody responded that person was from Ekiti. And we see these cultures clashing every time. These days, young girls, we just read Mills and Booms and fall in love. We don't study people's backgrounds, how their practices are. Sometimes it's practice. When I was in school, there was a young man from a Yoruba tribe, I always say here. I said no, because I've seen too much of that tribe's practices against women, and I didn't want to experience it in my life. No matter how much he came to my faculty, I just kept saying, I will marry you now. Before I know, I'm learning and relearning too many things. I don't want to live that kind of lifestyle. So maybe girls should be advised now. If you marry somebody from the general, maybe the most common Onitsha, which is more modern, you will say you have seen all of Igbo. When you move into Abia Ebonyi, you will shock. Even dialects are different.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, we were talking about Edo being the confusion state of all the Southwest. Because in Edo alone, if I cross into Edo now, somebody will be talking, I can't hear anything. If the Akoko Edos are talking, if maybe some common words, I won't hear anything. Amongst the Afemai cultures, if I say spoon in one way, they will say spoon in another way. So even languages differ. So take time to study the people whose bloodline, ancestry and behavior your children will be carrying.
Okay, so Nima, I hear you loud and clear, right? But how do we begin to change these disrespectful practices? No, hold on. I'm going somewhere. There are expectations that people would have, even if you marry into the devil's culture, and you as a woman loses your husband, even if you're not allowed to go there and see where he's buried for, you must be aware. You will be carried along. They will tell you, you are performing your rights. You know, I remember when my grandfather died, and my grandmother was put in, you know, these rooms where they shave off their head, and I was with her at the time when this was happening. But she knew all of the activities. She wasn't there because a wife is not supposed to see it. No, hold on now. But she knew, she was carried along. In this matter,
the wife is not supposed to see.
They did not tell her.
Wait now.
They carried this man back to the village. No, hold on. Buried the man, and she was not told anything going forward. That's what we're talking about. So this is a disrespectful...
You just made the point yourself.
Okay, go ahead.
For every tradition, there's a rationale. You wanted to say the wife is not supposed to see. You didn't finish that.
Yes, even if the wife is not supposed to see.
It is not a disrespect.
Be carried along. That's my point.
They don't carry you along. You've seen their son. See, you've seen their son. You've married him. Some families will come in and take over the moment he dies.
And then discard you.
They didn't discard you. Now, if you see, we are speaking about the burial practice here. We're not talking about whether you were disinherited or something. If we want to go into that, that's a different matter. But for some people, if you do anything to the body of their son on your own in the name of modernity, you bury in town. Wala go day. For me to be able to bury my dad according to Islamic rites, he himself in his lifetime, over 15 years before he passed, established that this is how I want to end. I'm breaking out from this practice for his family members to say, okay, we release our son to you. If not, I will travel all the way to Edo State. We will do all the rites. Do you understand? So you consider it a disrespect, but it is their custom. You marry them. Why don't you know enough of them?
And collect the disrespect.
So I remember when I was in university, a schoolmate passed, and I think they were Yorubas, and he was buried in Zaria where he had passed, and we had heard that, at the time we heard that the parents of the child, of that boy, could not be part of the burial because in their culture it's not right for parents to see their child being buried.
Yeah.
But imagine if that culture was that even that the child had passed, you just called the parents, say the child has passed and we have buried the child, and that's it. So what we're talking about, we're saying that if it had been a conversation in the home, you will not have this conversation of saying, I've not seen my husband. You make it, as long as these are the rights, this is how it is done. We'll bring you, and after all, people marry, we'll carry, after all, when people get married, when you're getting married into another different culture, they carry you along. They teach you. Before the wedding, they'll say, oh, this is how we do it, this is what and you do it with a smile on your face. When it comes to departure, why are you doing it differently?
Exactly.
Because it usually just ends up as, you are not part of our family, so don't say anything anymore.
Just mind your
business. The person
business.
that would usually maybe stand up for you and protect you, unfortunately, is the person that has passed. And so nobody feels that they owe you anything. And that's where we're talking about the disrespect and lack of empathy.
Yeah, so before we're going to go on a short break, but when we come back, yes, we'll take phone calls and messages. I'll also talk about the fact that if you want to marry in Africa, are you just going to be focusing on just your husband or your in-laws as well? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We wanted to open another can of worms.
Yes.
You know.
So I like as Miriam just drop it now that, they would carry you along. But who are they carrying along? The person avoiding the tough conversations? The modern woman who don't want hear? The one who gets shocked? There was one, when I was a child, there was one of my uncles whose body was even taken home and his family were called into practice. And the wife was a non-Afemai woman. She was shocked at the death, the practices, everything for her was against her person. It was, but the family stood their ground. They said she would be seeing spirits if she did not bring his clothes, his plates home. Wow. So there are certain rights that she must return. It's like he's returning. So, some customs believe that their dead do not die. They join the ancestors.
They move on.
So what they call them, there's a word escaping me. We speak in my language. You say the ancestors of the land. One of my grandmother's cousins would say, when I joined my sister, is this how I will explain how I left you people, So they have those practices and beliefs that they do. If you want to marry a religious person, like a Muslim, marry a Muslim who is truly into your ways, so you are not clashing. Not that after you are married, you now come in and say, I'm a Muslim woman, I will not do. And then there's a clash, because they will not leave you. If you want to take your husband for immediate burial, they would insist. You must inform family also. They can give you trouble. Sometimes this our love thing is good. It's good. But when you finish, be wise. Be discerning.
How wise can you be in this situation?
Ask tough questions and have tough conversations.
No, you can ask. No,
see, if the man tell you, say, my people, their ghosts, they fly. Ask how. When? What will happen? What do you want? How do you want to be buried? Tell your people yourself.
What if the man does not even know that the ghost will fly?
Apart from
because we are assuming that the man you're marrying knows all the culture.
No, okay, let's even assume that you people are newly married. These information have not been shared. At that point, it's still not a disrespect to you. Yes, it will help you deal with it to accept it as people's ways.
As it happens, nobody knows the time of death. Some people are young, as in they are married, and in a few months, God forbid, it happens, and then, they are widowed. But you also have situations where this has happened so many times, is that I marry you because you say you're a Christian, or you say you're a Muslim.
And then you change.
And we have done everything in Christian, according to Christianity or according to Islam, and then you pass, just like you said, and all of a sudden, people are coming from different places. Whose fault is it?
The person who did not inform you.
No. The person who did not inform you.
Yes.
One.
The family members who all of a sudden are coming out of the woodworks and insisting that this is the way we should do. When we were doing wedding, you people came and did it as Christians. We're doing it as Muslims. And all of a sudden, now at the death, where the person himself or herself cannot speak up for themselves, somebody decides how to do it. And for me, I always find that when this happens, it happens to people that they have no respect for. Someone that they do not like, someone that even while that person was alive, they had issues with. Because you would find a particular family member is treated differently from another family member.
Yes.
One is carried along, the other one is not carried along. One is celebrated, the other is not celebrated. It does not come because someone did not sit down and listen to traditions. If it is part of your culture to sit people down and tell them this is what happens at birth, at death, at weddings, then why would you wait until a time like this?
I like the fact that you said sometimes it comes from a place of wickedness. Because some family members would even be nice to you when this man is alive. And then they change when the man dies.
This view to things that some parents will say, my child cannot marry outside my tribe. Because you cannot start to school somebody on practices that are lifelong. Except the person is open-hearted. There's a young lady now who is from a Delta that married my family friend who is Ijebu. I love that she's so open-hearted. She's willing to learn everything. She knows quickly that I don't know these people, but I want to learn. She eats what they eat. She's, you know, some people will come and say, no, I don't.
Do you know that they can still change on her, even if she learns everything?
They can, but see, you try as much as possible to know. What you know cannot shock you.
Hey.
What you know cannot shock you. If you marry some tribes in Ishan, welcome, oh. So what you see, I carefully selected till I married where I want to end up because I saw too many.
Yeah, but that doesn't guarantee anything.
My auntie married an Igbo man far into the depths of the East and had 2 sons. When she divorced, she never saw her kids until they came to search for her. They did not explain. We were everywhere trying to get. We used everything. She didn't see them.
Okay. So we're wrapping up now.
We're hoping that education and, you know, talking about
information, being more open.
Yeah.
So you that want to learn, be more open to learn. They that are telling you, be receiving. You're not antagonizing what they're telling you and saying they must change it overnight. Now you go change them.
Okay.
Now custom.
That sometimes the person you marry itself does not even know all these things that you have.
That is what I said initially. So the thing is,
when I go stay abroad,
there are no absolutes. Nothing guarantees anything. You can be the nicest, the most listener, listen to,
the most
open-hearted, the free heart-minded, the one that will make everybody feel at home when they come around you. And something happens and the family turns around and begins to show you pepper. So nothing guarantees anything. But what I would like to take out is what Miriam started with. We must begin to pay attention to kind people. So you're not just marrying the man. How kind is their family? How nice are they? How kind are they? Kind people. Your husband is kind. No. If their custom is not kind,
but they'll be kind enough to explain it to you.
To explain it to you and carry you along. I'm not going to bury your husband. I will not tell you after how many years. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We are leaving.
We are done. Thank you.
Open. Okay. Whatever you see in your marriage.
Thank you. That's all we can take on the show today. Thank you so much, ladies. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye now.